to the bell. Now let's go.
Good Wednesday afternoon. Welcome in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mo Patton, Chris Yow, here with you on what is becoming a very nice day outside. And looking very much forward to this show as it's Auto Racing Wednesday here on this show.
Vroom, vroom.
That's right. We will talk.
Zoom, zoom.
Zoom, 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 zoomy, zoom. Little salt
No,
and pepper
no
in the
boom
house.
booms.
No, little salt and pepper in the house here this afternoon. We're going to talk to Heather Williams as we do each and every Wednesday, and we'll also talk to Music City Grand Prix CEO Matt Cruz. So we'll talk to him about
What did you call that event again?
the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Yeah, it's very important. Can't forget that part.
Got to get the sponsors in.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And the 3 o'clock hour is going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to today's show. We got a lot to talk about. USFL draft, Tennessee, Texas A&M. Yeah, so plenty to get to.
Speaking of trash can juice,
Rough night.
could have been worse. We could have been watching it with Christopher Gabriel.
Well, yeah. I was watching it with a Pac-12 basketball fan, and yeah, not ideal.
No.
Anyway, good show coming up. Excited for it. And we'll get right into it, Mo, as we have yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
In girls high school basketball action from Tuesday night, Brentwood Academy defeated Knoxville Webb 44-36. East Nashville with a 73-47 win over Pearl Cone. Nashville Christian defeated First Assembly Christian out of Memphis 63-31. Father Ryan with a 49-15 win over St. Agnes. Middle Tennessee Christian defeated Boyd Buchanan 55-43, and Providence Christian down the University School of Jackson 56-39.
Boys basketball action. Hendersonville edges the host Beach 53-51, and Cookeville downs Wilson Central 59-37 in consolation play in that district. Portland downs Creekwood 44-38. Dixon County a 69-52 winner over Henry County. East Nashville takes home the district championship with a 79-47 win over Whites Creek. As Gallatin 50, Station Camp 36. Giles County 45-30 over Loretto. Coverage on MainStreetMurray.com. Clarksville Northwest 48-40 winners over Kenwood. How about that? Kenwood, number 4 coming out of that district. Did not see that coming. Lawrence County waited till it mattered the most before taking down Page with a 57-54 win over the Patriots last night.
We've seen that before.
We have, in fact. You know, this though is one of the many reasons why me and some others feel like the district champion ought to get to host the district tournament, because obviously Lawrence County was hosting.
And you feel like that was
And
the
you feel like
difference?
that at 3 points? I'm just saying.
I think it's a logistics thing that prevents
Sure.
that from happening, though. But, anyway.
Doesn't hinder other states. Anyway, Green Hill 58-53 over Lebanon. Big win for the Hawks, and Lewis County edging Summertown in a little controversial manner, 69-68.
Go to MainStreetMurray.com.
Is the video there?
Pull up the video.
All right.
See for yourself.
Hillwood 62, Martin Luther King 47.
Also, Murfreesboro Central with a 67-44 win over Glencliff. Oakland boys defeated Siegel 69-50. Excuse me. Blackman with a 50-36 win over Rockvale. Ross View defeated Clarksville Northeast 73-60. Marshall County 62, Spring Hill 54. Watertown with a 47-43 win over Westmoreland. Clarksville defeated West Creek 65-46. And Greenbrier down White House 69-53. In men's college basketball action last night, number 25 Texas A&M held serve at home with a 68-62 win over number 11 Tennessee. Excuse me while I vomit. In the NHL, the Predators with a 5-4 shootout victory over visiting Vancouver.
Should have never got that far. Boys basketball action tonight at CPA 5:30 tip. Christian Brothers comes to town. They'll be taking on the Lions there. Davidson Academy goes to FACS. It's the 6 o'clock tip. Knoxville Catholic is at Lipscomb Academy at 6 o'clock, and Good Pasture has to travel to St. George for a 6 o'clock tip.
In men's basketball action tonight, Vanderbilt goes to the PMAC, the Pete Maravich Assembly Center, to take on LSU. That's a 6 o'clock tip on the SEC network. Also at 6 on ESPN Plus, Lipscomb is at Dunk City taking on Florida Gulf Coast. Austin P is at Stetson, 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus, and at 6:30 on ESPN Plus, Indiana State is at the Curb Event Center against the Bruins of Belmont.
Sans Larry Bird.
Sans Larry Bird, Sans Tyreek Key as well.
That's right. There you go.
Yes.
So that's going to do it for today's rundown. Yeah, Mo, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I thought the Lewis County Summertown game probably ended on a bad call. He effectively ended on a bad call.
Well, here's the thing. And again, I don't know if you've seen the video or not.
I watched it.
So, to set it up for those of you who have not seen it or are not familiar with the situation, Lewis County scored with 7 seconds left, take a 69-68 lead. Summertown called timeout, set up a play. They threw it long from the baseline into the front court, threw it back to Grayson Burleson coming downhill. Grayson Burleson may or may not have caught the ball in the backcourt, but it was an official in the front court that called the backcourt violation. Now, Grayson Burleson may or may not have been in the backcourt. Grayson Burleson may or may not have also taken too many steps before putting the ball on the floor.
Well, maybe.
So, I mean, they called the backcourt. I don't think it was. They didn't call the walk. I think it was. But regardless, ball went back to Lewis County at midcourt. Foul, missed front end of a 1-and-1. Burleson with a desperation heave from just inside half court, missed. Lewis County gets out with a 69-68 win. High drama, as we like to say. But yeah.
The only thing that I have as far as if it were a backcourt violation, his foot, I think, was on the line when he caught the ball. Now, I don't know if on the line with a toe in front of it establishes front court position or not. But it was too close.
It was bang, bang.
It was far too close to be called in that situation.
It was the bang bangiest of situations. I mean, and West Long was understandably bothered.
I bet.
Yeah. But again, I think he took too many steps once he caught it before he put it on the floor.
And see that I didn't even look at because I was just watching for the backcourt violation based off of your tweet. And that's interesting. That's a really good, that's an additional part of it, that maybe it would have been a violation no matter what, and it doesn't really matter.
But get it right.
Yeah. If you call travel there, you're probably a lot less angry
than
backcourt.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. So
anyway,
interesting ball game. And the thing is, that was the consolation game. And so a 15-point championship game was a little anticlimactic.
I bet.
Yeah.
Tell you what, Lewis County, I watched them against Mount Pleasant in that play-in game. They were the 5 seed, right? Coming in.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They. What did you call it?
The play-in game. Yeah, I know,
Mhm. Violating your own rules over there.
but yeah, I don't like to do that. But that's why you have district tournaments.
That is why you have district tournaments, and that's why you give everybody a shot in a district tournament, because they were the number 5 seed, like you said, but Bryson Claiborne and Dyer Barnes played really well last night.
They can shoot it.
They can shoot it.
And if they're
they can shoot it, and they are both pretty creative with their shot as well. And they get a lot of freedom in that offense to do some things, looks like.
Well, both of them are 1,000-point scorers in their career. I think that's, when you got 2 of those, you feel confident, and the coach kind of lets them do what they do. And I was impressed by Lewis County when I saw them play. I mean, so
yeah,
I'll be interested to see how that matches up. I think that's the Cheatham County.
I believe they go to
Fairview.
Cheatham County. Yeah, they match up with the Cheatham.
So now Summertown has to match it with Fairview coming out the gate. That's not ideal.
Well, but apparently Fairview will be minus a player. They had a kid get injured in their district semifinals, I think.
Well, as long as it's not the really good guard they had from last year.
It is the really good guard.
Well, then that may be a problem. That may be a problem.
Mays McCoy.
Okay, that's it. Yep.
The coach's kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. That could be a problem.
That could be a problem because Summertown on the right night, I mean, they've been awfully inconsistent this year. They're 12-16 on the year, but on the right night, it can be the wrong night for the other team.
Yeah, I mean, Grayson Burleson at any point can go for 30. So,
and Kurt is not a bad Robin to Grayson's Batman either.
Yeah.
So and then they knock down a couple of threes.
Never know.
So
interesting.
That'll be a game to watch.
It will be
Saturday night,
and that'll be at
Fairview.
So
Fairview's number 1 seed,
right? But are they playing all of their games at home host sites, or are they playing all at Fairview?
They're playing quarterfinals at Satellites, and then semis and finals will all be at Fairview.
Because I knew the girls were playing at home sites. Cool. Another game for Loretto in the barn. Just bonus games at this point.
Boys and girls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bonus games.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we've effectively talked way more high school basketball than I expected, but I like it. it's why
it's never a bad time.
It's why we are who we are and what we do.
From preps to pros, right?
That's right. Our top story today, however, is in the college ranks as we talk a little bit about yesterday's situation with Brandon Miller. We're 24 hours out now from the initial report of what was said in the courtroom yesterday. Obviously, we read you Nate Oates' comment yesterday.
His immediate comment.
At a press conference, by the way. I mean, this was not, somebody just caught him outside the courthouse and he didn't have time to think about
he wasn't off guard, or
No.
shouldn't have been.
He knew it was coming. He said, we knew about that. Can't control everything everybody does outside of practice. Nobody knew that was going to happen. College kids are out. Brandon hasn't been in any type of trouble, nor is he in any type of trouble in this case. Wrong spot at the wrong time was his comment yesterday. Now, we obviously took issue with that comment yesterday, particularly the wrong spot at the wrong time portion of the comment. Yesterday evening, a statement came out from Coach Oates that essentially said he thought it was important to clarify the unfortunate remarks he made.
I don't think he clarified the unfortunate remarks. I think he walked back the unfortunate remarks, and they were unfortunate.
They were, absolutely. And he said, we were informed by law enforcement of other student athletes being in the vicinity, and obviously that is in reference to both Brandon Miller and let's see who.
I cannot remember the other
Battles.
No.
Bradley is the last name.
Okay.
I can't think of the first name off the top. Jaden Bradley. Those two were in the vicinity. Now, both of their cars were also in the immediate vicinity because one of them was hit by gunfire.
Miller's.
And basically law enforcement continuously held that Miller and Bradley were not involved in any way. They weren't suspects. They were simply witnesses. I think that's an interesting way of putting it. Were they witness to the crime? Because Brandon Miller says we weren't there.
But his car was.
His car was there. He drove the car there, but he wasn't there. Apparently, he left the scene to walk to one of the bars on the strip that was closing and wasn't going to let him in because it was 2:00 in the morning. Both have been.
Not to mention he's under 21.
Well, and there's that. On top of everything else. Our understanding is that they have been fully truthful and cooperative. Now, none of that says Brandon Miller shouldn't have been there. None of this clarifies wrong spot at the wrong time as the wrong thing to say. None of that. I don't think he did anything but potentially compound the problem with this statement, Mike.
I don't think there's any clarification. Let's read this from the top. I thought it was important for me to clarify the unfortunate remarks I made earlier. This entire time, I've tried to be thoughtful in my words relative to this tragic incident, and my statements came across poorly. We were informed by law enforcement of other student athletes being in the vicinity, and law enforcement has repeatedly told us that no other student athletes were suspects. They were witnesses only. Our understanding is that they have all been fully truthful and cooperative. In no way did I intend to downplay the seriousness of this situation or the tragedy of that night. My prayers continue to go out to Jamia Harris's family. That's Nate Oates' more recent statement. I don't know if he said anything else today or not. But, you know, they have a game today, right?
Yes, Alabama does, in fact, play a basketball game today, and it's
interesting.
That is.
But, I mean, going off of his initial statement, you know, Miller didn't do anything wrong.
Well, he just said that he wasn't in any trouble.
Yeah.
And that's true. He's not in any trouble.
Well, but here's the thing to that, though. He's not facing any legal ramifications as a result of the events of that night. Doesn't stop the University of Alabama or the University of Alabama's basketball program from taking any action. And Oates probably could have saved himself a lot of heartache had he done so. Particularly when he said yesterday, we were aware of this. We knew. You knew all along. You could have suspended him for a couple of games for an undisclosed violation of team rules and been done with all this. When it finally came out, we have already addressed the situation. Let's move forward.
Would have been the smart play. But unfortunately, that is not what happened. And I'm not even sure that anything's going to happen now.
I don't think, well, I mean, if it hasn't happened, I don't know why it would happen other than, you know, somebody in Alabama's ivory tower bringing Oates in and saying, you need to do something or we're going to do something.
Yeah.
Because it's not a good look.
It's not. No matter what, it's just that the optics are not good.
And as a former colleague once told me so famously, perception is reality. And it's almost not even about whether or not Brandon did anything wrong. It's about what it looks like. And it doesn't look good.
No, it does not. Nor does it look good for, I mean.
Doesn't look good for Oates at this point.
Here's my thing. What's Jaden Bradley doing there in his car? Was he just nearby?
I mean, I'm not familiar enough with Tuscaloosa or the Tuscaloosa Strip or whatever it is that we're dealing with here.
Well, one, it's not easy to drive down on a Saturday night because there's a million kids just there's 10 or 12 places to drink and party and have a good time. And
they're all
right there, right next to this, they're less than half a mile from the stadium. I mean, but it's almost impossible to drive through there. And where they were at was in basically an alleyway next to Publix, which is across from Rounders and the Houndstooth. And I just don't know what Jaden Bradley was doing there. If Brandon was bringing the firearm back to Miles, that's fine. It was in his car. Apparently, Miles had been running around with it all night, and Brandon knew it because he was riding with Brandon. Where does Jaden Bradley come into the situation, and why are we not talking about this? Why was his car there? Why did he show up?
You asking me like I know.
I think there's questions that need to be answered. I don't think you can answer.
No, I certainly can't. I think that there are a number of questions that need to be answered, and it's odd that it seems like whoever could have answered or could have asked those questions, it seems like perhaps they did not or have not.
I've not seen anyone ask that particular question. That's the first time that it even popped into my head, like right now. So anyway,
I don't think we've heard the last of this.
I don't think so either. And as I told you, Tuscaloosa PD particularly has never shied away from landing a significant blow to the university. It's never been a problem for them in the past.
Well, that's interesting.
So the fact that Brandon Miller is cooperative and not being charged, to me, that seems like it's pretty obvious that he didn't have very much at all, if anything, to do with the actual act other than his car being there. So that's just, now, again, those are legally, but boy, the rest of it sure is bad.
I think it depends on how you define didn't have anything to do with.
Well, I said he wasn't there. He didn't have anything to do with the actual event. He didn't shoot anybody. He wasn't, he wasn't, that's all I'm saying. The rest of it is not good. Anyway, we need to take a break because Heather Williams is standing by, and we're going to talk a little NASCAR on the other side of the break. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, returns after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Shout out to Superfan Old Geezer. He asked if he could be classified as one. I think at this point, he's definitely the super fan.
I think he is the super fan, not a super fan.
And Chuck Yow. They've been here since the beginning.
Yes, you can certainly claim super fan status, and we appreciate it. No kidding.
We're going to take it east now as we welcome in Heather Williams wearing her Chiefs Super Bowl gear.
Okay, now hold up. I'm not surprised to see Heather wearing Chiefs gear, but I'm a little disappointed that she didn't come in rocking a Gate City jersey or something like that.
Okay, so what's so funny is I was standing here at the break. I actually had a premonition about this, and I almost went into the sports office and grabbed the Gate City helmet that we have.
Oh.
Wrong sport, but that is, I literally considered walking down to the sports office and getting that helmet and bringing it here.
So
But
close.
I don't really have any place. I don't have really any place to put it.
Well, and you can't
On
and
your
you-
head, it's a helmet.
No, you can't put a helmet on that beautifully
No.
coiffed
Yeah.
do there. So no. But you weren't surprised Saturday night, were you?
Oh no, not at all. I've known Max since he was 15 years old. I saw him, when he very first started working on his game, on his, not just his. So the thing that really has been frustrating through me this whole thing is a lot of people think that Max just dunks, and he's so much more than dunks. I mean, the kid is the all-time leading scorer in the state of Virginia.
Whoa, stop. The all-time leading scorer in the state of Virginia.
Yeah, for high schools. He broke
Alan
Iverson's record.
Allen Iverson also played high school ball in the state of Virginia, among others. Moses Malone. I mean, Virginia has put some guys out. So that is
and then
not
also
to be taken lightly.
Right. And then also when he was at Texas Tech, he led the Big 12 in scoring. So, I mean, the kid is so much more than dunks. Now, the dunks are amazing. And as soon as he started working on that and figuring out that he could do that, he became very much a viral sensation because of those things. And I loved seeing every bit of it. But I want people to understand that the kid can actually play ball too. Like, he led the G League in scoring last year.
He showed off the handles in the contest too.
Yeah, I mean the kid's just an overall good player. The only reason why he's not in the league already is because they list him at 6'2". He is maybe 6 feet tall.
There we go.
I think we're.
There we go. I went away for a second. But I was not surprised at all on Saturday. I knew if he made the dunks, they were going to be spectacular, and the fact that he's only 6 feet tall was going to make the crowd go wild, and it did.
Well, we're happy for him, and we're calling him a Tennessee native since he was born technically in Kingsport, but that's just because we want to claim him.
I mean, it's Gate City's like 10 miles down the road, if from Kingsport, so close
That's
enough.
where the hospital is.
Yeah. It's basically. I mean, that's the truth. But close enough. Close enough.
We're taking him. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, Heather, for the second, as we go into NASCAR, for the second year in a row, a relative long shot is the Daytona 500 winner, Mr. Driver. As you see there, the ESPN graphic that forgot to put Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s name
maybe
up.
didn't know. They were like, "Who is this guy?"
Exactly. They were like, that doesn't look like Kyle Larson.
A little bit. They're about the same height.
We're going with Driver, which Driver is totally a legitimately possible name. I went to school with a guy named Jeremy Driver. So Driver Williams is a singer. I mean, I guess you could technically find somebody named Driver, but it's not this guy. This is Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
My dad's name was William Williams. So.
See, there you go. It can happen.
I went to school with a guy named William Williams. Now, he went by his middle name, Matthew or Matt, when we were in school. But once he got out and turned professional, he became William Williams. So yeah,
because that sticks out when you interview.
Oh, it absolutely does. And so does he, by the way. Anyway, yeah.
So two things. Number one, this race goes into overtime, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. wins essentially with caution on the track. If a race can end with caution on the track, why do we have overtime? Why not just end it at lap 200 and give Kyle Busch the trophy?
Well, because I think they want to try to end it under green flag conditions. I mean, the way the overtime works is you take the green flag, you take the white flag, you take the checkered flag. Once you take the white flag, the next flag ends it, whether it's checkered or caution, because you want to try. And they actually went to double overtime. So they went to 2 overtimes. They gave 2 attempts of it. But as you could tell, cautions breed cautions. So you can't have unlimited amount of overtimes. We might still be sitting in Daytona with 2 cars, with holes and dents all in it, trying to figure this thing out. So that's just the compromise, right? We're going to give it as many chances as we can, but we do have to draw a line, and the line is the white flag. So, I mean, I give NASCAR credit. They took a lot of flack for just ending it under caution and not ever trying overtime or green light checkered
That's
finishes. So, this is a compromise to at least give multiple chances to try to end it under green, but also drawing a line that say, we're not going to be here till Wednesday to try to figure this out.
Well, I'm sure Kyle Busch would like to have been there on Wednesday if it meant he was taking the checker flag, but
or Joey Logano for that point, right? Because when the second attempt at the green light checker came out, he was about to pass Stenhouse. I mean, he was about to do it. So you line him up and you try again. Maybe Logano ends up being your 500 winner. So, I mean, I get that, but I mean, there has to be a line. There has to be a point where we say enough, and that's the rules as they are now. So Stenhouse is your winner. And by the way, it's actually the third straight year that we've had an underdog, because we had Michael McDowell, and then
that's right,
Cindric,
Michael McDowell,
and then Stenhouse. So
completely forgot about McDowell winning the stinking thing.
I know, right? Seems like 100 years ago too.
Funny because I'm watching, and when the wreck happened, I thought Logano was in front. They kind of held off on the caution to let those guys race it out, at least for a little bit. And that's when Stenhouse, obviously was ahead. But I was cussing. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Not literally anybody, but we know what we know. Heather tells us all the time, Joey's the greatest guy in the world until he puts the helmet on. And he very well may be, but I still don't like him as a driver. So that's where I'm going with that. But
he really is.
How crazy was it to see Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in victory lane? I mean, they used to call this guy, what was it? Recky McSpin twice.
Or Ricky Stenhouse Jr. or Ricky Spin Twice Jr. Yeah, there's a lot of different ones. But look, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Those aren't complimentary, are they?
No, those are not complimentary.
No.
Okay.
But he's a two-time Xfinity Series champ, right? I mean, the kid can drive. There's no question. One of the things his crew chief talked about, because his crew chief this year, who he was reunited with, was his crew chief in the Xfinity Series when he had all that success. The biggest thing with Tim was controlling the aggression so that it doesn't become tearing up race cars. He's a guy that when he was at Roush Fenway Racing was pulled from the car and sent to the body shop to work because he was wrecking so many cars. So he's got the talent. He's always had the talent. And for me, the thing that was so exciting about this is to see a team like JTG Doherty in victory lane. Tad and Jody Geschecter, that's a mouthful, the owners of that team, have been in the sport for over 30 years. And for them to get their Daytona 500 win on the biggest stage was amazing. Brad Doherty's been around. I think he joined that race team in the early 2000s. He's been around for a long time, becomes the first African-American owner since Wendell Scott to win the second since Wendell Scott to win a race, the first to win the 500. So, it's just amazing for them to be able to celebrate all these things. Jody becomes the first female to win a race as an owner, or to win the 500 as an owner. JTD's won some races before. So it was just really exciting. They're a small team. They're not like Spire Motorsports small, but they're a smallish team. They're a single car team. Racing on those kind of tracks is really hard for a single car team because you need a pusher. You need somebody to work with you in the draft. He doesn't have those things. He works a little bit with the Hendrick guys because he runs Hendrick engines. But I think this is just a great story. I think you can see, Ricky recently got married. He's a much more mature driver that he was when he had all those nicknames of Wreckhouse Jr. and Spinhouse Jr. or whatever the nickname you want to use on him. So I thought it was really cool to see. You could see the joy in his eye. His crew chief, Mike Kelly, has won a 500 before as a crew member, but it was he was on Michael Waltrip's team when they won in 2001, so he did not get to celebrate because of what happened to Dale Earnhardt Sr. during that wreck. So you could just see, Mike was in tears, and he's not really the kind of guy that cries, but he got choked up over the fact that he finally is going to get to celebrate a 500 and really enjoy this experience. So really just a cool win all around. Very popular in the garage area. Lots of drivers, owners, NASCAR officials came down to congratulate them in victory lane.
It was pretty cool to see. I did find myself rooting for Kyle Busch there, though. I'm not going to lie. I can't believe it, but I did. I was rooting hard. I thought, all right, here's this chance, 25 years. And it just kind of felt like a really storybook kind of night. And
well, he's almost approaching senior status or Tony Stewart status in his quest for the 500. I mean, he's a pretty good super speedway racer. He's accomplished everything there is to do in the sport. So yeah, I wouldn't say Kyle's one of my favorite people, but I did also find myself rooting for him when he was out front, because I think it would have been an amazing story to finally get that done.
Right. That was me. I thought, this is going to solidify him, in his spot in racing history. And, it was unfortunate, but, he'll get some more tries. Mark Martin tried almost 30 times. So he'll get a few more opportunities to take the 500. Looking forward to this next race out in Fontana, the last race at Fontana with the current configuration, as they're going to be shortening the track and adding some hotels and mixed use condos and whatnot to the area. So that sounds like,
because there's a lot of rumors that it may not happen, like that Fontana may just go away completely. So
well, yeah, I mean the essential, it's definitely the final race in its current configuration, but
yes,
the land is pretty darn valuable right now.
Yes.
It's tough. But what does that make? Well, what does that do for this race, and what does that mean for this race?
Well, it's a little bit sad. I think the drivers, when I talked to them last week, I think they're a little disappointed. It's very much a driver's track. They like it. The racing for the fans hasn't always been the greatest, which is why they're considering changing it. But from a driver's perspective, it is really challenging because the pavement is worn. They haven't paved it at all since they built it in the mid 90s. It's big, it's wide. There's a lot of places to race on the track. So the drivers, they enjoy it. So they're a little bit sad. And anytime you see, the end of an era, an end of a track on the circuit, whether or not it comes back in some other kind of configuration, this is the last one like this. And it's a little sad, but the next gen cars have performed so well on these kinds of tracks, on these 2 mile and a half type tracks. So it has a possibility, with all the pomp and circumstances being the last and 75th anniversary of NASCAR and all these things, it has the possibility of being an outstanding race, because I think there's a lot of drivers that like racing there and would really like to win the last one. So it could be dicey. It could be kind of fun.
I'm looking forward to it. Again, like you said, this particular car really does like those those particular types of tracks. And, if they are able to keep the track, I mean, I think that would be good for Fontana, but if they can't, it could be good for Nashville. I'm just saying, then opening a date might not be a bad thing. So
yeah, no, for sure. Nashville or North Wilkesboro or one of the other tracks that want to try to get back on the schedule. The thing is that you say it could be good for Fontana. If it comes back, it also could be bad, because they think that they want to try to build another Bristol, from what I understand.
Yep, that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Short track. I don't know that you can create another Bristol. And I don't just say that because I live here. Those high banks, sharp turn tracks that exist in other places, but Bristol is special because Bristol is Bristol, and the people around here love and respect racing, and it feels like gladiators going into a coliseum. That's how it got its name. All the fans are right on top of you, and just because you build a replica of that track doesn't mean it's going to be like Bristol. So I mean, there's a really high, and I think this is why I'm leaning towards it probably won't happen. There's a really high risk with less reward, in my opinion, in doing this. And I think NASCAR is starting to figure that out, with all the excitement the first year at the Coliseum. And then this a couple of weeks ago, the crowd wasn't that great. The ratings weren't that great, because at the end of the day in California, they don't really care about racing. So I think NASCAR is starting to figure out that they might have a better chance in that market, in that part of the country, if they really want to race there, and doing pop-up events like that, like the like the race at the Coliseum or a street race or whatever, something where it's constantly changing to build up excitement rather than a permanent track. Because and this is just my opinion, I think there's way too much risk in trying to replicate Bristol because it may not work.
I would 100% agree with you. And it is interesting because, two of the top 3 most successful drivers in the history of the sport have come from California. And but that being said, you're right. I mean, it's not exactly the most popular sport out there. It's kind of like playing lacrosse in Middle Tennessee. It's just, you're just kind of, you're kind of relegated, unfortunately. And so you got to go find your own way. And so, continuing to go out there may not be the best move for NASCAR. That being said, it's going to be an interesting race, as it always is. And I'm looking forward to it because this is another race you just don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Thanks to the next gen car. That being said, Heather, we're going to ask you to tell us what to expect.
Yeah, we don't know what to expect, but go ahead and tell me anyway. Well, I mean, I think there's some guys that are generally really good there. I mean, Kevin Harvick is really good there. It's basically his home track. I think you look at the Toyota drivers, they're generally pretty good at that track. I think I'm going to pick Tyler Reddick. He didn't have a particularly good speed weeks, but that's not his genre. But he was one of the best drivers last year on these big intermediate type tracks. He's now in the Toyota, and Toyotas are really good at the intermediate type tracks, the speed type tracks. So I think I'll go with Tyler this week in that 45 car. They got 2 wins last year with 2 different drivers in that car. They were both at Kansas, which is another big, wide open 1.5 mile track. And I think based on the way that Daytona went for the Toyotas, they definitely have a lot to prove.
Yeah, it wasn't a great week for Toyotas for sure. But Heather, we appreciate it as always. Looking forward to Fontana and looking forward to continuing our conversation next week with you. Enjoy watching those Mac McClung highlights just randomly.
Well, maybe he'll get some playing time with the Sixers now that he's placed up there for a little while in his 2A.
Well, you've got Thursday night on TNT against the Grizzlies potentially, so it's national TV. It'd be hard not. It would be really difficult for me if I'm the Sixers to not have Mac McClung on a nationally televised show.
I think it'd be tough for them to explain if they don't. So, we'll see how that goes.
Let's hope. Heather, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time.
See you guys.
All right. Goodness gracious. I'm struggling. I've got a tickle in my throat, and it's not ideal. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk Tennessee hoops, Titans news, softball news, USFL, who knows? Tons to get to. Stick around. Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joints. Back after this.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow and Mo Patton here with you on this Wednesday, Wild and Wacky Wednesday. The weirdest and wildest news from across the world still to come later in the show. Right now, though, we go to the hardwood, where Tennessee fell last night to Texas A&M on the road. Tough place to win, especially without continuing, this run without Julian Phillips and JoJo James. Santiago Vescovi, who was incredibly sick last night.
That's not sick in a good way, huh?
No, well, he was, the fact that he played was impressive enough, given his physical situation. I thought Tennessee played fairly well at times. The thing about the way Tennessee plays is this: some nights you're gonna get, you're gonna be able to play defense the way you want to play. Some nights you're not. Last night was a night they weren't, and Texas A&M shot 30 free throws. Tennessee shot 14, and that's just a product of the way Tennessee basketball is built right now.
I'm just looking back at Tennessee's schedule right now, and since that win at home over Texas, when was that? On January 28th.
2-7,
2-6, I think. They lost at Florida. They beat Auburn. They lost to Vandy in Missouri. They beat Alabama. They lost to Kentucky and Texas A&M. So 2-4. 2-5 since beating Texas. And again, they've been without Julian Phillips, who cures a lot of ills for them when he is on the floor, but he's a freshman. And they've been without JoJo James. But again, they were also without both those guys when they beat Alabama.
I think matchups are the problem for Tennessee.
Yeah, that's
go look at the teams that have beaten them, right? Kentucky to Sheboy. Last night, what's the guy's name? The big guy for Texas A&M. I just had it and I lost it.
So it's not matchups specifically, it's big men. And
they just don't match up well with teams who have good big men because Euros is on the bench.
Why is Euros on the bench?
Because he's terrible.
He's not always terrible.
Well, it's been he didn't play well last night and had to say, honestly,
I think you've got to figure out a way to play him though. Because otherwise, what you're playing Nkamwa at the 5,
and Nkamwa plays well at the 5, but he's a 4.
Yeah.
He plays good enough when other teams don't have a dominant 5.
Right, but when they do,
honestly, I don't know that what you get from Euros defensively is good enough to keep somebody who can play offense off the floor, because that's where you're struggling is offense. You've got to create offense, and they just don't have anybody, one, who can create their own shot. There's nobody on the team. Outside of maybe JoJo, I don't know. This is just not a good basketball team right now. And that's unfortunate because
that's a tough pronouncement to make about a team that's 20-7.
8.
But
yeah,
that's still considered a possible top 3 seed, maybe a top 4 at this point, but still, again, as you said last week, when you consider where this team came from, it's kind of tough to throw rocks at it. Now, we have to deal with where they are and what they are. And this team created a lot of expectations for itself.
Monsters and all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to feed it. I guess you just got to look at this team on a game-by-game basis at this point. And right now you got South Carolina coming in on Saturday, and you like to think that that's a get-right type game. But then you've got –
what if South Carolina beats Alabama tonight? Because look, I fully believe that some craziness could happen. This is a South Carolina team that did beat Kentucky. You know, this is an Alabama team that is clearly going to be mentally struggling.
Distracted
at least.
Yeah.
Who knows? And then they've got some confidence coming in.
But again,
Jeez.
you know, as we talked when we were talking about the AP poll either yesterday or the day before, this is the most up in the air college basketball season period that you've seen. I mean, how surprised would you really be if South Carolina beat Alabama tonight?
Not right now, I wouldn't be. I mean, I think it's possible.
Tennessee finishes with South Carolina, Arkansas, and at Auburn.
Right now, Tennessee does not have a double bye.
I don't know if you said it or if I heard it somewhere else or if I just thought it, but maybe Tennessee is getting all of the losses out of the way now.
I said that. Yeah. That was one of my thoughts was let's go ahead and get these done so that when tournament time rolls around, you know, they're back on the top of the roller coaster instead of the bottom.
Yeah. Actually, Chris, at this moment, Tennessee has the number 4 seed in the SEC tournament.
I don't have. That's not what I was thinking of, but I do like that. I do like seeing that. It's interesting that only Tennessee, Alabama, Tennessee, and A&M are the only 3 teams with winning records in Q1. By the way,
but Tennessee is 9-6 in conference play, 28 overall. Alabama, Texas A&M, and Kentucky are 1, 2, 3. And obviously, Kentucky holds the tiebreaker, having swept Tennessee. Auburn half game back at 8-6. Now they play tonight, I guess.
But they would still be behind Tennessee on tiebreaker today,
which will make that game at Auburn in the final game of the season crucial.
Could make it. Well, crap. Vanderbilt's tied with Auburn right now. Vanderbilt could potentially get a double bye. I just want y'all to think about that.
That's kind of mind-blowing.
I was going to put a bell to that. I just didn't have a sound for it. I didn't even know what to press.
Because if Vanderbilt wins tonight, they have the tiebreaker over Tennessee and would move into the number 4 spot.
Now, how do they have the tiebreaker over Tennessee? Because they split, right?
Because I'm pretty sure the tiebreaker is latest win, isn't it?
Is it latest win?
I think so. I don't know what the tiebreakers are.
I don't think, but I don't know.
But they've got at LSU, Florida comes to Memorial, then they got to go to Kentucky, and then Mississippi State's at Memorial. I mean, honestly, Tennessee better figure something out quick.
Well, you'd really love to have that double bye and not have to play on Thursday. It's not crucial.
No. And maybe you need an extra game seating wise.
Maybe you need an extra game seating wise. Maybe you need an extra game in Bridgestone as well.
Just to get used.
Since the last time you were there didn't go so well.
No, it didn't. Maybe. Right now, and I said this last night, and Vescovy's sickness notwithstanding, crucial turnover, down by 1, and Vescovy has the basketball and turns it over. Misses the free throw that would have.
Vescovy missing a free throw late?
Missing the free throw against Vanderbilt. Missing the free throw against Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I love the kid. But you're not playing in a close game with the game on the line right now.
Who is?
Literally anybody else.
No, seriously. I mean, you can't play that game. Who is? If not him, who?
Okay, let's bring it up.
I mean, seriously.
No, let's talk about it. Zakai Ziegler, Tyreek Key, Kimwa, Adu, and if Plavshik is available, then he's on the floor.
Or Meshack?
You could play Meshack. Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm just saying, anybody but
No, literally, a Waka who has played really well lately. I mean,
But
you can't-
Key comes and goes too.
Again, 3 consecutive times he's had an opportunity. 3 consecutive times he's failed in the biggest moment of the game. At that point, you got to sit him, if for nothing else, just to get his mind right.
Well, I will say Rick Barnes takes a lot of slings and arrows, but he knows that team better than we do. He knows those guys better than we do, and maybe he sees something in Vescovy. Vescovy's a senior, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if he's got young kids in there and they spit the bit, then why was that kid in there anyway? You know, it's a tough call. Coaches get paid a lot to make them, but it's definitely one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't type situations, I think, because I think Barnes's approach to Vescovy is that he's going to get it done more often than he doesn't. And now this last 3 games he hasn't. I don't know. It's a tough spot for a coach to be in when a kid that you depend on as much as they do, Vescovy, doesn't get it done, because it creates conversations like this.
I mean, you could always go back to Will Smith. I mean, how many times did we say, why you keep running him out there? Why you keep running him out there? Well,
and then you get the World Series.
0.00 postseason ERA.
Yep. So,
you know, maybe I've got confidence in you. You just got to get confidence in yourself. Maybe that pays off tournament time.
Yeah. You hope.
I mean, look,
that's the only thing you can hope for at this point, because certainly past performance does not dictate that he be in there.
Recent performance, at least. I mean, he's done it. He's been the guy.
He just hasn't
so
done
many
it
times.
lately.
He's just not done it lately.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to clear your head.
Janet Jackson would not be happy.
There you go. Oh man. Wow, I wasn't ready for that. Real quick before we get out of here, because we do have Matt Cruz standing by, a pretty big announcement yesterday on social media for anybody who is a softball fan, particularly Tennessee softball fans, as Monica Abbott, 37-year-old Monica Abbott, announced her retirement from as a player.
It just doesn't feel like she should be old.
Yeah. I mean, this is the girl that, you know, kind of got me into Tennessee softball, because I mean, I was a Tennessee fan, but I watched softball at I watched softball and was a part of the program in my high school, but didn't really watch college softball that often. Monica Abbott changed that. And thanks to her, Tennessee softball is a much different program today than it was in 2004 when she showed up.
No doubt. You know, she was that building block, and it's like I said, it just doesn't feel like she should be that old.
Well, she was an All-American as a freshman in Tennessee. She was a 2-time silver medalist in the Olympics, 3-time world champion, 5-time National Pro Fast Pitch champion, 6-time Japan Softball League champion. She played for Team USA for a crap ton of years. She still holds the record for strikes in the NCAA and wins. And
Strikeouts?
No, strikes.
Strikes.
They
keep that?
Apparently they do.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you gotta keep up with how many strikes. We're gonna keep up with strikeouts, I guess. I don't know. It's a little weird.
I've never heard that
Never,
before.
me either.
I've never heard
Never.
that.
Who holds the record for balls? That's what I want to know. Who's got that record? I mean, it's just strikes. But also holds the record for wins as well, and was Collegiate Player of the Year in 2007 when she led Tennessee to the Women's College World Series finals, where unfortunately they did lose to UCLA. So, to me, Lady Vols _softball is correct. She's the GOAT.
Oh,
I mean, Jenny Finch is there. She's obviously the one who made softball mainstream, but to me, nobody better.
Well, I mean, she's certainly the GOAT in terms of University of Tennessee
there's
softball,
no question.
and there's got to be a statue in our future. 112 shutouts in 223 career games. More than half of her games, she won by shutout.
That is impressive. That is impressive. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Matt Cruz, CEO of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, will join us. So stick around here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back after this.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow alongside Mo Patton here with you on this wild and wacky Wednesday. Again, the weirdest and wildest news from across the world coming your way here shortly.
And Florida.
Oh, and Florida. Of course there will be Florida. Of course there will be Florida. What in the world are you talking about? Right now, though, we go to the pride of Lawrence County. A GOAT in his own right, Matt Cruz, joining us here from the Music City Grand Prix. I'm gonna get there. And Matt so eloquently corrected us last year when we did this, and he said, no, it's the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. And so we've been doing our absolute best to make sure to get that in.
Our level best to get your title sponsor in, Matt. So we appreciate you spending some time with us this afternoon. Before we talk about the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, though, tell me your plans for the first weekend in May.
Yeah. Hide, I guess. I don't know. That was pretty unique. I got a call from Dr. McPhee at MTSU last week asking me to be the commencement speaker in May. So huge honor. I said yes too quick, and I was like, wow, who's going to speak for more than 5 minutes. And have they really seen my speech grades or any of my grades from MTSU for that matter? So, no, a huge honor. So really looking forward to that. And it's amazing what MTSU has become as an institution. So, yeah, that's going to be scary, but we'll get through hopefully. But it's again great honor, and I'm still blown away. Still really hasn't set in yet. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'll tell you when it's going to sit in is when you start figuring out what your speech is going to be.
Yeah, I may just go around and ask everybody to introduce themselves and say, "Okay, we're out of time. Thank you."
Give us a fun fact about yourself.
I like it. I like it. Yeah.
Green flag. No, that's going to be really cool. So.
Yeah. So things are happening.
Yeah.
In terms of your event later this summer.
Yeah, we're excited. Tickets are on sale today to the general public, which is we've been really waiting to get those out. A lot of changes for this year. We'll have our first night race this year on Saturday night, which is really excited about. Just the cars, the sparks, the lights of downtown, I think could be spectacular. And then we've got an earlier morning start on Sunday, which will really allow our fan base to get there and, cooler temperatures at 11:30 on Sunday morning and, have a great day of racing starting earlier. I mean, our race is so great. People don't want to wait all day to start at 3 or 4. So early start time. So we're really excited about that. Really excited to have more of a prime time or an Eastern time noon start for TV as well. We're back on NBC network this year. So we anticipate our TV ratings to really be high this year.
That's exciting. Did I turn myself there? I am.
There you go.
Okay. That's exciting news, Matt, because, this has been one of the premier events across the country as far as auto racing is concerned, and you guys just keep building on it. So what, other than those few things, what can fans expect? Obviously we know how to throw a party here, but with the early start, what does that mean for the party?
Nashville throws a pretty good brunch party. I don't know if you've tried to get into a good brunch restaurant. So, I don't think that really slows people down. So, to be honest, we're probably, we're going to be 30 minutes different than a typical NFL kickoff. And not sure if you've seen an NFL kickoff. People they pretty had a good time by the time that starts anyway. So, and I just, everything we look at as we get into our third year is just about how do we make a better experience for the fans. So, racing in cooler temperatures makes a ton of sense. More fan friendly, family friendly, activities and environments. Looking at more cooling stations, just more things that add to the fan experience are extremely important for us. I thought operationally last year we had a home run as far as just the blocking and tackling of putting on an event. We had our first real stress test of dealing with weather issues, which that is something that we have to deal with here. But I thought our fans did a great job. I think our team did a great job, and we're looking forward to always continue to grow our event. And the racing got better. We had I don't think a lot of people know, last year was the closest street race in IndyCar history. So, IndyCar's been doing street racing for a long time. Our race last year was the closest finish in history. So that's a pretty big accomplishment for the drivers specifically and our track design team. We made some pretty significant track changes after year one. Based on driver feedback. So I think those things, went hand in hand, and the drivers put on a great show. And, a driver to a person, every time I see them, they can't say enough things about the city of Nashville, the fans of Nashville, and the members of the Nashville hospitality community who do such an incredible job of taking care of our guests on a day-to-day basis.
Matt Cruz, CEO of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. MTSU graduate, former Blue Raider punter, Matt Cruz.
Place kicker, actually. I don't know where Mike got that from this morning.
Place kicker.
That's right.
My bad. Hey, you probably took a computer class or two at MTSU back when they taught this stuff. You remember the phrase garbage in, garbage out. My bad. But at any rate, you've been able to incorporate a lot of MTSU elements into this event, beginning with the concrete industry management department and that kind of thing. you know, and I would imagine that's probably had a lot to do with your prominence on the MTSU radar. But how important was it to you once you were able to get this event in town to, you know, rely on your MTSU roots in growing that?
Yeah, it was great. And to be honest with you, that has probably done more to foster my relationship back with MTSU than anything. It started with with Dr. Heather Brown in the construction program or the concrete science program at MTSU. They play such an integral role in the building of our infrastructure. And they've set a model. For example, there's a street race in Chicago this year. NASCAR will be doing a downtown street race. You know, they're using a lot of our infrastructure, and they're actually using our concrete molds to pour their block, and then they'll be using our fencing. They're doing the same thing in Detroit for a Grand Prix. So a lot of that came from MTSU technology and kind of reinventing, you know, the restraint system or the barricade system for these types of events. So, you know, that came out of MTSU. And then one of the really fortunate situations we had last year, or 2 years ago, I'm sorry, is we started to build a relationship with General Keith Huber and the Charlie and Hazel Daniel Foundation at MTSU. The Charlie and Hazel Daniel Military Foundation there. I think MTSU has more on campus former members of the military than any school in America. So it's an incredible program. And we've got such a great group of corporate sponsors here that really stepped up to really enhance that program. So I don't want to get too far ahead of it. One of our sponsors will be making a significant donation to the MTSU Foundation, to the Charlie and Hazel Daniel Foundation as part of pre-race on Friday night this year. And it will, I mean, I don't get too far ahead of it. It will be a massive donation. And that's just, it just, first of all, it tells us what an incredible program they are, that this particular sponsor really doesn't have any ties to the state of Tennessee, but met General Huber last year and fell in love with what they're doing there and what he's doing for veterans. So it's really cool to get to do that. And then just walking around the office. I mean, we've got a fair amount of MTSU grads working here. So it's great to be able to not just to be involved with MTSU, but to kind of, you know, re-engage with MTSU and continue to push that and grow that every year.
And Matt, you guys are, again, you said tickets are on sale to the general public today. 3-day passes, what do tickets start at to you?
You know, our 3-day reserve is in the 150, or I'm sorry, 3-day general admission in the 150 range, and we go up to, you know, some of our all-inclusive clubs, you know, up into, you know, the $2,700, $2,800 range. We've got some great value this year, and one new club specifically we're launching. It's a great 3-day ticket in our most action-packed Corner 9 that has a private grandstand for this particular club, but then a climate-controlled area as well with 3-day unlimited food and beverage. That's a $850 3-day ticket, and then our 3-day reserved is you know, priced anywhere from that $219 to $229 range. And, you know, if you look at our 3-day ticket. And then also add the music offering to that to basically get 3 days of concerts and 3 days of racing at less than $100 a day. That's a pretty value price compared to the market, compared to what we compete against. And we have found our consumer, I mean, they come all 3 days. Friday, you know, we were shocked year one of the crowds on Friday. And we kind of thought going into last year that, well, that was probably the novelty of year one. And year two, I think Friday crowds probably exceeded year one. So it's been great to really expand our weekend because, you know, Nashville's got too much to offer in just one day. So to be able to really stretch over a 3-day and even really a 4th day with a downtown festival on Thursday night with one of the bigger pit stop competitions in IndyCar, which is completely free and open to the public. So it's a great multi-day event for locals and for tourists. And, you know, our breakdown of tickets is about 50-50, you know, 50% probably from the middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky area, and then 50%, you know, from outside what we call the 5-county region. So it's a great mixture of both.
Chris, that's one of the last weekends that we have free before high school football season starts up. So we may need to hit somebody up for some press passes. Hopefully we know a guy. So, Matt Cruz, CEO of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, with us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Matt, really appreciate you spending some time with us, and may have to reach back out to you a little bit closer to get some updates.
He may need somebody to write his speech, and as far as writers go, he may know a guy.
He may know a guy. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and we may, and you know, again, our offices are just right around the corner from Titans facility, and they released their kicker Randy Bullock today. So I always tell Burt Nighill when I see him, I say I need about a month to stretch. But
Hey, go stretch. Go stretch. Yeah, we that would be a heck of a double right there.
That's right.
Yeah, Matt, we appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. See you.
All right.
Oh man, that's good stuff. And transferring right into what we were about to talk about.
Speaking of,
is yes, Randy Bullock has been released.
Maybe Matt Cruz will be the next Titans kicker.
Very well could be. I mean, there's all of the possibilities there. But
I would imagine with what he's making as CEO of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, they could get him for the league minimum.
And here's the thing about that, and this is what we're going to get into here. The Titans released Robert Woods, Randy Bullock. Who was the other guy?
Zach
Cunningham and Taylor Lewan. They still only have about $13 million in cap space.
Well,
so they're going to need somebody for the league minimum.
There's at least one really bad contract in there.
May have to draft a kicker just to get him for the rookie contract.
Goodness gracious.
Don't even play like that, please.
I'm just saying. I mean, it's a good. I mean, you think about this. You got 7 positions that you've got to fill. 7. And then any depth at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to do it for basically $1.75 million per. Where are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? The only way is
in the draft.
Restructuring Ryan Tannehill's contract.
That may not be the only contract that you have to restructure because, again, you got to get something done with Jeffrey Simmons.
Well, you still have him 1 year. I mean, you don't want to have to deal with that, on the backside. But
you really don't. And
you might have to because you don't know what kind of money you're going to have.
You feel like the cap's going to go up next year, though. That seems to be the thing. I don't know if that's necessarily what you want to bank on, but it all indications are it's going to go up for 2024. But as a new GM, I think getting something done for Jeffrey Simmons is probably going to be the most significant way to announce your presence with authority. I also feel like I don't think you can go into 2024 and not have something done with him. I just don't.
I would agree.
I don't think Jeffrey Simmons is AJ Brown from a personality standpoint, but I don't think you want a repeat of that situation. I don't think he's a guy that's going to hold you hostage like that. But at the same time, that guy wants to get paid and he deserves to get paid.
Yeah, I don't. It's an interesting comment here from Old Geezer saying 1 more year for Vrabel. I don't think that's the case. I think particularly with the John Robinson situation, Amy Adams Strunk is going to be even more lenient with Mike Vrabel because
I don't think he needs any leniency. I think he's earned whatever he gets. I mean, whatever issues the Tennessee Titans have are not related to Mike Vrabel.
Right. And again, Vrabel did a lot with very little. I mean, this is a guy who won the #1 seed with playing the most players in NFL history. So I think he's certainly going to be there as long as he wants to be there, at least for the foreseeable future. Now, Rand Carthen has
how long he wants to be there.
Right, now,
maybe
Rand Carthen has, he has his work cut out for him. Is basically the best way to put it.
Through no fault of his own, clearly.
Right, no, I mean, he took the job, and I'm glad he did because I do think he's going to do a fantastic job. But he's got some rough stuff to deal with. He's got some cleaning up to do. And here's the thing. You got to figure out how to draft. That's number one on the list.
Well, again, with the cap space or lack thereof, that's where the biggest improvement, hopefully, is going to be made, is through the draft.
Now, this is a guy, Rand Carthen, who was in charge of the late round draft picks for the 49ers, where they got guys like Brock Purdy. And to me, I feel like you're going to need 5, 6, and 7
to
hit in order to make this thing work immediately.
Well, here and again, when talk of Rand Carthon interviewing with the Titans began to come up, one of the first things that was said was he was instrumental in the 49ers signing UFA wide receiver Jawan Jennings, who has certainly hit.
Yeah.
So, it's not just in the draft, it's after the draft. And that's going to be key for this team this year, particularly, it feels like.
Got to get a lot of bang for your buck if you want to
or lack thereof.
Well, and again, I do foresee a Ryan Tannehill contract restructure. I see that happening. They're going to give him some money. They're going to have to, which is why Ryan Tannehill is going to be the quarterback in 2023-24. Just write that down. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I'm not bothered by that.
And I'm not either. I think you should be.
Because if this offensive line is upgraded the way it should be, if the receiver core is upgraded the way it should be, and if Ryan Tannehill is healthy, now that I know those are some pretty big ifs on all three fronts, but if that happens, who else is going to be better at quarterback for the Titans, realistically?
Who said it? I don't remember who said it. But they said on this show, it's not easy to get better at quarterback, but it sure is easy to get worse.
I don't remember who said it either, and it's unfortunately.
Was it Ben Arthur?
What?
I think it was Ben Arthur.
No, it was our guy from Seattle.
Oh, that's right. Okay, you're right, because Gino, we were talking about Gino and
Michael Sean Dugar.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's who it was. Well, there you go. But that's the truth.
It's
you can get worse a lot faster than you can get
somebody
better.
Needs to etch that somewhere because it's absolutely accurate.
It's
so true. Such a true statement I've ever heard.
I mean, how many times have we seen the Titans get worse at quarterback?
Too many.
Oh my God.
So anyway, there you go. Big news from around the Titans camp. We'll see what happens. Speaking of news, I've got some for us. That's right. It's time for the weirdest and wildest news from across the world. And we start with the Philadelphia Inquirer. That's where I got the story. I don't know where it came from. What I can tell you is that a man threatened to blow up the Hollywood sign.
Why?
It was a ransom demand.
Who do you think was going to pay it?
I guess the city of
Hollywood.
The city of Hollywood, because that's who he called, except that he didn't call Hollywood, California. He called Hollywood, Florida. Every time.
Does Hollywood, Florida have a sign?
I'm sure they've got a sign. I don't think they have one like that, though.
That would take a lot of bombs, I feel like.
The welcome to Hollywood, Florida sign is just like some bricks and
with a planter in front of it, something like that. Yeah,
painting it.
Hey, somebody go out there and check the sign, make sure ain't no bombs.
Like, we hadn't touched that sign since '62. What are you talking about?
Oh gosh, that's so great. Anyway, I just thought that was hilarious because it called the wrong city.
It's like, bro, go on and blow it up. See if we care.
Oh my God.
Well, we don't.
Hey, I signed.
You know what? Go ahead and blow up.
Hey, not my farm. Not my pigs. Yeah, go
not
ahead.
My city, not my sign.
That is good. For the insurance money.
Man, that's great. All right. Story number 2. Florida man arrested for disrespectfully eating key lime pie. First of all, I don't know any other way to eat key lime.
We should never go to Florida.
Don't tell me, because I'm just here for the pie.
That's it.
So
he ate it though.
Oh, he ate it. All right. Did you know that the official dessert of Florida is strawberry shortcake?
Not key lime pie.
It's not key lime pie.
Goodness. Of all the things, how does that stand? How did that happen?
Like how do you?
Sir, what that's a good question. Apparently, there is some contested history between key lime pie and strawberry shortcake. I would like for you to know.
Okay.
One Fort Myers man went out of his way to obtain his favorite post-dinner treat for his mother's birthday. He took the custard creation and secured it in his refrigerator, which would remain until the big day. He even warned another person in the residence, David Powelson, to leave his mother's edible present unsullied in the icebox.
I'm glad you finished that statement.
But
I didn't know where you were going.
Yeah.
That being said, Powelson here, as you see.
This is Powelson?
This is him. He was drawn to the dessert reminiscent of a cartoon character, was losing all control to a pie in waiting. On February 15th, around 5 p.m., the man slipped into a daze in his recliner when something caught his eye. Powelson wasn't just eating his prized possession, but was making sure there wasn't even a crumb left behind.
So he ate the whole pie.
He ate the whole pie.
That is disrespectful.
That cartoon, whenever they smell it and then like bring
yes,
he
floated. He floated all the way to it. As the man's blood began to boil over the disrespect shown to his key lime pie, he confronted David, and the two became embroiled in a war of words over the final course. In his attempt to de-escalate things, Powelson tried to cool off his heated opponent by dumping 2 large glasses of water on the pilot's victim.
This is my favorite ever.
And with that, Lee County Sheriff's Office was called, and the victim and Powelson explained their side of the story. And, following the brief investigation, Powelson was arrested and charged with battery on a person 65 or older.
I bet Florida cops are just like, really, guys? Seriously?
No, seriously. Like, there's no way you get paid hazard pay for that.
Seriously.
So there you go. That is your weirdest and wildest news from across the world and Florida. I've got another one, but we can wait till next week. It's
timeless.
It is. It's all they're all timeless. But looking forward to another fantastic day of Main Street Sports today. We've still not gotten to the USFL draft. We will get to it at some point, but just news keeps piling in on us, and that's okay. That's why we are bringing you the most timely and comprehensive news coverage in sports right here on Main Street Sports Today, each and every day at 2:00. Tomorrow, Mo, we have 2 great guests. We'll have Megan Moore, Columbia Central Lady Lions basketball coach.
District 12 4A tournament champion Lady Lions.
The champs is here.
Who else do we have?
Tomorrow we will have Christopher Martell.
That's right. Christopher with a K.
Christopher with a K to talk a little Preds, but probably some bourbon too, since he's a aficionado.
Not necessarily in that order.
Maybe not in that order. He is a bourbon aficionado, so we enjoy talking a little drink with him as well, and we'll talk some Preds and what's going on with this with the Preds right now. So we will be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel right here on Main Street Media TV. This has been Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bar and Joint. We will see you guys then.